They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own. Among the fallen were also teachers, men and women who devoted their lives to helping our children fulfill their dreams. So our hearts are broken today for the parents and grandparents, sisters and brothers of these little children, and for the families of the adults who were lost.
I'm George Boston Ryan with the Get To Free Press, and I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, and I stand in solidarity with all the children and parents, friends and loved ones that has been inflicted with an unnecessary pain by sick people in our community by use of a weapon. In Valdosta, Georgia, I stand today as a concerned citizen, but more importantly, I stand with the mascot that I choose to wear all day today to represent the suffering children and the parents that have lost their loved ones. Now, here in Valdosta, Georgia, and Lowndes County is a strange place to live. There can be problems around the world, but for the most part, the religious leaders, educators, doctors, lawyers, business people, professional people, and others, for the most part, will not get involved in the issues that confront the world stage. Now, this evening at 2 o'clock, the Honorable Reverend Floyd E. Rose, senior pastor at Serenity Church, well, used to be, there's another pastor now, he kind of took a back row seat. But he is calling for a march from Serenity Church to Valdosta City Schools. I plan to be there. I got 5 engagements today. This is my first. And so I came here today to let you know that the NRA is something that's very powerful. But there's a lot of sick people. There's a lot of sick people behind an organization, a business that cannot see what the common man can see on the streets as they listen to their dying children across the United States of America. And so today I commend Reverend Floyd E. Rose and those that will march along with him. Now I want you to see just how many religious, high, sophisticated pastors, I'm not criticizing the pastors because they're going to be there. I'm talking about the ones who are concerned, but they won't lend their voice to the institutions that are seeking to bring an end to this. Now, I know you all say there's no need of marching. Well, this is the month of March, and there should at least be 1 month out of the year that you're willing to march for your children, now, and your neighbor's children. And so I'm wearing this little mascot. It belongs to my granddaughter. I'm doing it for her. I have several grandchildren. I just have one with me today. And because we have very sick people in this country, very sick people, I'm going to lend my voice to say to another voice, what do you feel about the killings that have taken place at the schools across America, my beautiful brother?
I felt surprised, and I've also felt a little bit scared, a lot. Even though I'm homeschooled, I still feel scared about all the kids who have been dying. For all of them. I really hope that this stops. I heard it around in school. I heard it around in this boys and girls club program I go to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, a police officer told me about it. Not saying his name, but still, yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about the guns that are so prevalent in this nation? You just get a gun, people just shoot people down. How do you feel about that as an 11-year-old child?
Well, I say nah. I may want to use one. I said still, nah. I don't want to use it just to kill people. I want to use it for a reason. Like, if somebody was doing something bad and I was part of something that could protect them, then yeah, that would be a reason why I'd shoot someone and kill them. Mm-hmm. But any other reason, I wouldn't do it.
So you don't agree with someone just walking into a school, shooting people down? They don't even know the people. They don't even have an argument with the people. They haven't done nothing to them.
Yes.
They just take a gun and they got these most powerful weapons that they use on a battlefield, on a military battlefield, and they allow these weapons on the streets of America. What do you think about that?
I think they should maybe start to let older people have guns, and teenagers or kids, they are not allowed. They can't have any guns unless they're toy or
as I said, I have 5 engagements today, and I'm going to do what I do because I am concerned, and I have a lot to say about it. I am tired of seeing our politicians sit, say, and do nothing. Now, I want to thank my grandson for his comments because it's people like him that are going to make the difference. And why you say make a difference? Many of you are not going to say anything off or on the camera. At least he was willing to say something when I asked him these questions. I stepped outside of my house this morning. It's cold out here, and you can go back in if you like. But my main thing is that I wanted to lend his voice to this video. This belongs to my granddaughter, and I said to myself, what a beautiful mascot. It was in her little bag, and so I hope to wear this all day today wherever I go on behalf of the children. Once again, this is the Get To Free Press. I'm George Boston Ryans. First, I got to go to a breakfast this morning at 8:30 on behalf of the small black economic contractors with the Honorable Minister John Robinson. I will leave there and probably go to Brooks County to a Prince Hall Eastern Star Easter egg hunt. I was there last year. I hope to go there. I don't know. I got to leave there. Then I got to go to another city out of the city. Then I got another appointment this afternoon. But all day long, I'm going to be engaged in some type of activity because I'm concerned about our children, and I'm concerned about the newly elected black, mostly female officials that CNN, MSNBC, 60 Minutes, and your mainstream news media will not connect the dots. And it is indeed a disgrace because it's an negative impact on voting rights and blacks holding office after they are elected. And over in Camilla, Georgia, my beautiful brother, Mayor Rufus Davis, has reached out to the national level. I have seen him talking to Al Sharpton and Attorney Crumpton, but I have not seen not one time where my beautiful black brother have mentioned all these other 25 to 35 cities that are being torn apart. Voter suppression, voter intimidation, and lying on black elected officials and removing them from office. I don't understand, my beautiful brother, why he will not include the Madison, Florida 9, Meg's Mayor Linda Harris, Lumpkin Mayor Charles Gibson. Voting rights problems in Clayton County, Dawson, Georgia, Warrenton, Georgia, Davisboro, Georgia, and Sparta, Gordon, Georgia, with Mayor Ann Whippaloop. I plan to be in Atlanta next week on her behalf. Davisboro, Georgia. Broxton, Georgia. Willacoochee, Georgia. Homerville, Georgia, and many others. The equipment 10 plus 2. The state of Georgia brought them up on 119 to 200 charges, removed some of those elected officials from office by the governor deal, only to replace them back. They were found not guilty, all 12 of them. After 4 years, one of them died from the stress that the state of Georgia, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, and the G.B.R. hyped up against them on bogus charges to control, suppress, and abate, and to stop and remove blacks from office, and we have it all documented. But your mainstream news media won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But as a retired military veteran, let me repeat, as a retired military veteran, I'm going to continue to stand up for our children and our active duty, disabled, deceased, and retired military veterans. And those who tried to go into the armed forces but had medical ailments and they could not be accepted because of their medical conditions. I stand up for all of you. CNN don't have to do it. MSNBC don't have to do it. 60 Minutes and 47 Hours and Date Hounds, they all ignore all these problems that I have presented to you. The last case was over here in Douglas, Georgia, with Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson. They brought her up on bogus charges. Her first trial was a mistrial. Her second trial, she was found not guilty on all charges, and they had dropped all charges except one. And yet the DA, the district attorney in Douglas, Sansock, took that case to court with the help of Judge Andrew Spivey. And I'm telling you, it was a disgrace in the state of Georgia, but CNN wasn't there, and they don't give a dime about voting. They say they do, but they don't. If CNN, MSNBC, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, HLN, if they cared about voting rights and blacks holding office in this country, they would come and investigate what I have already investigated, got people willing to talk before the cameras, but CNN don't give a dime. Yet black folk go fight for this country, and we don't even have a free press that will publish the truth to the American people. And they are liars. This nation is a liar when they say they're about freedom of the press and freedom of speech, when they deny our freedom of speech and they will not publish the news in the black community while our sons and daughters serve on foreign battlefields and black folk, including religious leaders, including myself, sit, say, and do nothing. Now, I'm off to the races. I'll be running today, but I'm running for something beyond me. I'm not trying to hype any praise to myself. This is in honor of all the children that have suffered and still suffering because our elected officials and our religious leaders, too many of them, they'll talk a good game in houses of worships, in synagogues and masses. But when it comes down to actually being participants in standing up for the newly elected black officials and voters across the state of Georgia as well as Florida, because I've been to Florida, I've been to New Orleans, and I came together with a group of people, and they all know about voter suppression and what these white Caucasians are doing against the black colored people here in the United States of America. And even more sickening and saddening is that black Uncle Toms and Aunt Janes have joined forces with them to suppress the black vote. And we know you Uncle Toms and Aunt Janes. I love the group in Chicago who have now creating a list with all the Uncle Toms and Aunt Janes, so the world will know who these black traitors are. And I want to close by this note. I say this to all black people. Don't you dare put all white folk in the same basket because there was white folks fighting for black people before we knew what the fight was all about. And so we call them the white right people. And I want to take this time as I close to say thank you, white right people, for standing up for what Christendom say is the prerequisite to going into the kingdom and in the hereafter of the living God. But the rest of you, and you know who you are, you don't fool God. It's just like in the days of old in the book of Job, when the sons of God went to present themselves before the Lord, and that ECP God, being God Almighty, saw Satan sneaking in, talking about he was a Christian, talking about he was a Muslim, talking about he was a Jew, just snuck on in. And God saw him with that all-seeing eye, and he said, what comest thou, or who comest thou? And it was Satan himself trying to sneak in among the righteous. And too often, this is what we got in our places of worship. They have snuck in, and they preach the greatest sermons. They collect your money, your tithes, your offering, your benevolence offering, and yet they are making a fool out of you because they don't give a damn about you nor your children. And this is why they'll stand up in church, but they won't stand up in the march, and they won't stand up on the street, and they won't do what people are doing to connect the dots with all these cities to show this pattern and practice that the black man in 2018 is no better off than he was in 1818. This is the Get To Free Press on Boston G.B.R. YouTube channel with over 1,300,000 views, and yet we're still doing it for you. I don't get paid for it. Most of my videos, if you look, they are not monetized. I could be paid for the videos. I have never collected one dime, not one paycheck. They got money, they tell me, in my account, but I don't get it because I'm not concerned about the money. I want to be a reflection of the God that my grandmama told me about in the black community, because we know that there is something wrong with people who say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Jew, I'm a Hindu, I'm a you. That's all we hear. That's all we see. All of their work is inside of a religious building or some event where they'll travel to another city. But when they come out here and put your life on the line and walk out down in the valley with dry bones, or when you walk out and you find yourself in the belly of a whale, or when you find yourself being thrown into the lion's den, or when you be called a nigger like I was called on February the 5th, 2015, in Gordon, Georgia, for doing the work that Jesus would do, the work that Moses would do, the work that Muhammad would do, the work that all the holy prophets, priests, and kings would do to help save somebody outside of myself, because I love our children so much that I am willing to be a living sacrifice, to say to them that there's a God in creation, and he loves you so much that he will stand with you until the end. The Ghetto Free Press. We report what others ignore. 2 o'clock from Serenity Church to Valdosta City School System. There will be a march, and if God pleases, the Get To Free Press will be there. I'm going to a breakfast now because the black people need some of these millions of dollars that come into the city of Valdosta. For over 100+ years, black folks have been excluded from the economic pie, and this is why many of our children are dying on the streets, selling drugs because they can't get employment, because the good old boy system, those in lockdown, got a game being played. But I want you to read Matthew 24:35 and see what it says before the end of time comes, and then you can better clarify in your own mind what the end gonna be. Bye-bye. We go. This is the Get To Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are a racist or a hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Ryan.